I think I would want to do without mic, so I can free enough to talk. I hope you don't mind. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so while this came, it was supposed to be more of like a panel session, but I just have to speak to us first. For some reason or the other, I was told I need to speak to us on purpose and clarity. So the reason why I don't want to do the mic is because I want to be free enough to move around. So I just want us to come to the point where we understand what purpose is and what clarity is. But before we go there, let me just tell us a story. So all of this started for me when I was at the point in my life when I felt like, oh, what is life really about? What really am I doing about life? Because it felt as if everybody had it figured out. It felt as though everybody knew what they were doing, but I didn't know what I was doing. I know it was the period when I just graduated from school. I graduated in 2023, and the point where they just expect you to go for NYSC next, and this is you. Your school is delayed. It's not like you did not finish very well. You know already that no, I'm a top person, and you finish well. But the school, for one reason or the other, decided to delay, and there were pressures left and right. What are you doing? Why are you not going for it? And at that period point in time, I was supposed to go back to Lagos, be with my family, because my family is from Lagos and I school here in Abuja. And I had to fight because, the Holy Spirit said I should stay back here in Abuja. And it was not easy. So I was in that period when I was down. I said, what am I really doing? What am I really here for? Because at some point it felt as though I knew what I was going to do. While in school, I had just a triangular lifestyle, and then it felt as if, yes, once I go out, everything's going to be perfect because Jesus, girl, God has done ahead of me, that kind of thing. And so it was like that, but reality started to dawn on me, and I was not having control over anything. It was going beyond what I had envisaged it to be. So what then would I do? So I was in that down moment, I was thinking, I was talking to God, but there are times you get to, and you just get tired of talking to God. Let's pray honest to ourselves. Where we ask for things and we're not just receiving answers, or we're not just getting responses for what it should be. And so at that point in my life, I said, God, I need to grow. Because again, I had people reaching out to me, Sister Angie, how far? I need this, I want to finish school, I need this. Can you help me with a remote job, something I can do while at it? And I was like, even me that I'm here, the remote job I'm doing, I'm just an intern. So it started for me as an intern. I understood first that for me to get value, I need to first be a person of value. So it started like that for me, but let me now go to what it means to, for what purpose meant exactly. So yes, you heard it. You need to know your purpose. You need to know what you are here for. But really, how do we find the purpose? How do we even know what it is really? And so I got to understand. Purpose is your essence. It is the reason why you exist. It is the mind of God for you, because God is the manufacturer, and every manufacturer has a reason why they created a product. So what is the reason why God created you? That is your purpose, that is your why, that is your essence. But then again, how do we find this purpose? How do I know what I'm really here for? How do I know what God has called me for? And I'm just going to bring 3 pointers for us. I'm just going to bring out 3 things, and trust me, whether or not you know it, you're already operating a purpose, but there are things that you need to do to fine-tune it and to make sure that, okay, I'm really on the right path. So these 3 things, what are these 3 things? The first things first, what is your potential? And when it comes to potential, we all have potential. And potential, let me even go to physics a little, but I'm not a physics person, I'm not even a science person, but it's just something I like to bring into when it comes to things like potential, kinetic energy. So we know that potential energy is something that is not in motion. So we all have potential in us. We all have something. We all have an inherent ability within us. We have something we are already doing that we find ourselves doing over and over again. So first, what is that potential? What is that thing you find yourself doing over and over again? What is that thing that you just wake up to, you do? And you've not really seen the light of this, but you do it on a regular basis, on a steady basis. It could just be as little as a child, you love, as soon as you see the TV, you just want to dance, or you just want to sing, and you just find yourself singing over and over again. So we have that potential. It could be, for me, it was more like me. I loved helping people, I loved gathering people, I loved, making sure that anybody that comes in contact with me becomes better. It makes me feel happy, it makes me feel satisfied. That, okay, yes, I am impacting a life. You know, so that is a potential. So what is that thing you find yourself doing? When you don't even struggle at it, you just find yourself naturally doing that thing. That is your potential. It is the inherent or innate ability that God has placed inside every one of us. So now that we know that there is something called potential as it relates to purpose, let us move on to the next thing. Then we have passion. Passion. What really do you like doing? What is that thing that when someone taps you, even in your angry state, you will still get to do that thing. You will still get, okay, this is it. Okay, you just want to, you want to just do that thing. And for me, for a very long while, I was just making it for people. Like, I did learn to make effort, I knew to make effort for people. And once I started to make effort for people, I wanted to talk to them, I wanted to help them become better. I wanted them to see life in a better light. And so I just wanted to do that thing. I wanted to do it for free. I wanted to just do it for everybody, you know, just be at it. I wasn't doing it for the money. So what is that thing you can do, whether or not you're paid for it? What is that thing? And you know, for you to tie this back to purpose, because your passion could be an indication of what really your purpose is. So how can you relate your passion with your purpose? What is that thing that you love to do? What is that thing you're obsessed by? Yes, we would have heard it's not even about might. We would have heard that obsession is a bad thing. But just like Occam's law, for every positive there is a negative. I still like going to science, but I'm not a science student, like I said. So for every positive aspect, there's a negative aspect. So when it comes to, okay, obsession, to be obsessed, and people are telling you this is bad, this is not a good thing. Whereas obsession in its right is a very good thing when it comes to you achieving goals, when it comes to your passion, when it comes to you getting things done, when it comes to you wanting to produce exponential results. You need obsession. You need to be obsessed. What is that thing that is always on your mind to do? That obsession. That's a positive obsession you need to bring out of the systems. Because yes, there's a system that conditions us to think in a certain way. Whether or not we know it, whether or not we like it, we could be zombies in a world that there are people controlling, there are gatekeepers controlling. But we don't really know this thing, but let us look at it. Why was it that in kindergarten we were surrounded with colored walls? Everything had colors, everything made so much sense. And you know, we were just creative, we had the ability to think creatively, we just wanted to make things out of nothing. But really, that's our innate ability. But what happened after the kindergarten phase where they showed us, okay, yes, you can be creative, but we moved over, we started moving over to having gray walls in our classrooms. We started moving over to having success defined by what it is we did, the courses, the subjects we did, the maths, the English, and then when we don't get A's or B's or C's in these courses, we feel like we failed. Or when we don't come out to the first class, we feel like, oh, I failed, oh, I'm not ill. That kind of thing, because these are things that the system and the structure have defined success to be. And so many times, many people tie who they are to what it is they do. They tie their success to what it is they've been able to deliver, whereas it goes way beyond that. You know, this thing occurred to me, I think it was earlier this year, when I was just, this week asked me to resign from the remote job I was doing. You know, I was too comfortable with the community management role. I didn't need to stress, I could just be, and you know, but I knew someone that is made for more, I need to do more, and I need to get into more. And you just told me to resign, I was like, why? Not that I didn't mean to do this. It's very important you have a relationship with God. It's very important you have a relationship with the Holy Spirit. As a young person trying to navigate life, adult or even break into wealth at the most. So he told me to resign. I was like, but if I resign, that means I won't be a community manager. And then he told me while I was walking to work that way, because as I even had remote job, I was still doing a 9 to 5. And then he told me, who you are is not trying to what you do. And then I just said, okay, yeah, fine, I'm good. And then I knew there and then that, okay, I was going to resign. It's really important to have a relationship with God. So, what is that thing that once you're awake from, you can get done? What is that passion? What is that burning desire? What is that thing you want to see happen? So that there is your passion, and you can tie it to purpose. Because for me, my purpose, I know that every single thing I do, it is going to be till the end that Jesus is seen. Because he put it there for that he may be glorified through my life. So that in everything you do, in every of your passion, you're able to tie it back to the bigger picture. Because yes, he has told us to go into the world, to preach the gospel. But we don't have to do the conventional way of staying behind the pulpit to preach the gospel. Your life can be the gospel people need to see and come to Christ. Your life can be the Bible that people read. Besides, do people even really read Bible these days? They want to read the believer. Is your life really worth emulating? What is that thing people can see about you, and that thing that, oh yes, I want to learn from this, that their life can be better because you did this. For me, I'm like, oh, thank you, Jesus. That means this thing I chose to do is the reason why this person is becoming better, or this body of people are becoming better. And it gives me a sense of satisfaction. So what is that thing that you do and it gives you a sense of satisfaction? That thing that can cloud your memory. You're not necessarily thinking of a 9 to 5 that you have to please your boss or anything, but there is something within you. So you need to know and you need to bring it to life. Then we move over to the third when it comes to finding your purpose. We move over to your anger. Anger is a tool. They'll tell you don't get angry, but I tell you that anger is that tool you need. So that beyond the point of complaining, beyond the point of, oh, government is doing this, government that is because of this one, that things is not working, oh, it's government, you're just trying to always shift the blame or move responsibility over to another person entirely. So what is that thing that when you see it, you are angry? And no, this thing should not be, how can this thing be like so? Rather than complaining, how can you convert that your anger? How can you convert that your pain into purpose? What is that thing that, for me it was more like, why is everything happening like this? I need to grow. Because I knew that in my own growth, I cannot grow alone because I had seen the pattern. There are patterns. There has been patterns, there have been things, there have been potentials I had seen because I love gathering people. I love getting people together to see that people got better because I chose to be better. And so for me, it was growth. I am not happy with this. I think it was this time last year. It was this same time last year. I said, God, I don't like how my life is going. I need to grow beyond this point I am. And then I'm like, okay, because I've learned over time that for me to grow, let me even just bring it back to exams in school. If I wanted to pass any course, trust me, I need to teach other people that course. Because if I'm reading that thing, it's as if it's not even sticking in my head. But as soon as I'm able to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, I teach them, I know that I'm sorted. And then they enter into the exam, better people, they enter into the exam, they get their results, and they see that their result is better than what it used to be. So that was satisfaction for me. And so when I saw that I needed to grow, I thought, I should not have to do this alone. And prior to that, I had this 20-day Bible study that 20 days of Bible study that instructed me to do with some ladies. And we did it, and that dawned on me like, okay, Angie, that means if I commit to something, I can actually do this. So for every single situation you find yourself, I just want to chip this in. For every single situation you find yourself, you should be able to pick up lessons, whether good or bad. Pick up lessons from there and let it influence your next level. And now then will now bring me to the point of clarity. Because I'm talking about purpose and clarity. So many times we make the mistake of wanting to wait for clarity to happen. Like, okay, now, because what is that big picture? It is that vision, okay, this is who I am, okay, now we know it, so now what? So how then do you get the clarity you need to start on the journey? You know where you're going already, you've seen the picture, but you've not seen the step. Joseph had the vision as a young boy, but he didn't see the steps it would take to get to that point that God was taking him. And I'm very sure if God had shown him the step, he would have said it's not doing it. He would run away. If God had shown me the steps I have to take to get to that point he's taking me, trust me, I don't think I would want to do because it was like that to be this difficult. And so there's that big picture. So now, how do you get to that point? And this is where many of us make mistakes, like I had mentioned. This is where many of us are waiting for clarity to just come. We stay in our head so much that we want to have everything figured out before we even start. So I'm just going to tell you that you're not confused because you don't know what to do. You're confused because you want to take charge of everything. You want to have everything figured out before you start. But clarity is not that. And again, clarity is not necessarily the absence of confusion. It is you choosing to start. Whether or not you are clear on it. So, okay, this is the big picture. Then there will be steps to get what do I do first? Just like someone driving in the dark, lost in the dark in his car. The first step the person needs to do is to switch on his ignition and turn on his flashlight. then move from that point to another point. Then move from another second point to the next point. And then, at the end of the time, this person gets back to his destination, to the original place he's trying to find. So just like this is how clarity is. We don't need to have the whole journey figured out. We just need to take the first step. We just need to start. Stop overthinking. You're just doing yourself more harm than good. Being in your head and just thinking too much about life. Oh, okay, now I want to do this. How do I do this? Oh, you stay too long on that thing. We're not telling you not to have it figured out in your mind yet. But you should let go and let God. God is instructing you by telling. Many people say that they are not hearing from God, but really, do you know that He's telling you things to do? They are prompts. He doesn't have to come to you and say, my daughter, pass through, like, go like this, go like this. But in those subtle prompts, He tells you, okay, go like this, do this, do this. And so, I understood fully what clarity is when I had to start. I said I was going to go on the 30-day challenge, and it blew before my very eyes. I had about 100 people joining on the first day of my personal growth challenge. Like, why is my personal thing having 100 people join into it? And, I didn't really know what to do, but I started it regardless. I didn't stay to think that, how will I help these people? How can I? But as soon as I did one, as soon as I made a document, the Holy Spirit told me, no, don't make just one document. Do this next. I did the next one, said, okay, then do this next. Divide these people into subgroups, because now there are different sets of people in this place. There are the beginners, there are the intermediates, and there are the professionals in this single thing, this same thing you want to do. And from there they moved that, okay, now that this. And then again told me, now let this be your project. Let this be a sample project for you. I know it was that point I had to learn to see what different sets of people, different class of people, what they experience life like. And then I learned that for the beginners are very, very open to learning. They want to learn, they want to see how they can take charge of life. Then for the intermediate, they are in between, they just graduated, they are in between their creativity, having the ability to create and having the ability to stay under someone that can lord over them and buy their time. And this is not a bad thing, by the way. So they are in between. They are not necessarily looking for what they can get. They're just looking for how they can improve themselves. But it's hard, it's quite tricky at this point because their identity has started chiming to that which they have started to do. And then we have the professionals. These ones didn't even have time. These ones, if you ask who are you, they are literally telling you who they are, is what they do. Whereas that should not be it. What you do is not who you are. You need to find that out. Stop tying your identity to what it is you do, because you are beyond that, you are more than that. And so I found out and I'm like, okay. Then I knew the body of people that, okay, these are the people I really want to focus on, because I cannot start trying to help the people that have gone or people that their mindset is now fixed. They have a mind that is set to a particular direction. And so I knew those that I needed to work with. And when everything ended, he told me again to host a webinar to give people certification. I'm like, so it just got clearer and clearer as I moved. To the point it is now, it got clearer and clearer. So having a community, to having subgroups within this community, to having people come into this vision, it took step by step by step. I know at some point I almost dropped the vision. Why? Because I was already in a 9 to 5 and I was having my identity tied to that 9 to 5. And then what would I do when I was praying for financial breakthrough? You know what it did? It literally stripped me of all financial options. Told me to resign my job. Though 9 to 5 I was still paying me, my salary got split into 2. I got hungry. And then I said, no, I cannot really drop all my energy in someone's work. I need to do the work that the Father has sent me. So how angry are you? How angry do you get for this particular point? Because to build wealth, 9 to 5 will not necessarily build the wealth that you need, because the salary you're getting is just a way to manage poverty. It's not going to help you build wealth. And so to find clarity, just take the next step. Stop overthinking the whole process. Take the next visible step. So when it comes to purpose and clarity, this is it. Thank you so much for listening to me, guys.